Welcome to Karma's Harvest. Today, we bring you a story about the invisible boundaries of greed and the elegant simplicity of justice. Sometimes the most profound lessons are taught not through words, but through the very air we breathe and the sounds we make. In a small cobblestone village, nestled between rolling hills, there lived a baker named Master Grimald. Grimald was a man of undeniable talent. His sourdough was tangy and crisp, his brioche was as light as a summer cloud, and his cinnamon rolls could tempt a saint. But Grimald had a heart that was as hard as a day-old baguette. He loved money more than the art of baking, and he viewed every person who walked past his shop not as a neighbor, but as a potential source of profit. One chilly autumn morning, a weary traveler named Elias arrived in the village. Elias had been walking for days, his stomach echoing the emptiness of his pockets. As he passed Grimald's bakery, the most heavenly aroma drifted through the air, the scent of freshly baked rye bread, warm yeast, and melting butter. Elias had no money to buy a loaf, but he stood by the vent of the bakery, closed his eyes, and took a deep, lingering breath. For a moment, the rich scent filled his lungs and warmed his spirit, making his hunger feel a little less sharp. But Grimald was watching through the window. His eyes narrowed. To Grimald, that scent was his property. It was the essence of his labor, his flour, and his fire. Seeing the traveler enjoying it for free felt like a theft of his very soul. He stomped out of the bakery, flour dusting his apron like snow. "You there!" he bellowed. "What do you think you're doing?" Elias blinked, startled. I was just enjoying the smell of your wonderful bread, sir." "It is truly a gift to the senses." "A gift?" Grimald sneered. "It is a product. That aroma comes from my oven and my ingredients. You've stood there for 10 minutes, consuming the fragrance of my finest loaves. You must pay for the pleasure." The street fell silent. Passers-by stopped, whispering in disbelief. Elias looked at the baker, confused. "But sir, I have no bread in my hands. I have taken nothing from you. A smell cannot be sold." "Everything has a price," Grimald insisted. He grabbed Elias by the arm and dragged him toward the center of the village, where the local magistrate, a wise elder named Silas, sat to hear the grievances of the townspeople. The crowd gathered as Grimald presented his case. He spoke with such passion and indignation that one might have thought Elias had robbed the town treasury. "He inhaled the very essence of my livelihood," Grimald concluded. "Justice demands he pays me 5 silver coins for the satisfaction he received." Old Silas listened patiently, his chin resting on his hand. He looked at the trembling traveler, Elias, and then at the red-faced baker. "Elias," Silas said calmly, "do you have any money at all?" Elias reached into his tattered cloak and pulled out a small leather pouch. He emptied it into his hand. There were only a few copper coins, pennies, really the last of his meager savings. "This is all I have, Your Honor. It wouldn't even buy a crust of bread, let alone 5 silver pieces." Silas nodded. "Give me the pouch." The crowd held its breath. Was the wise Silas really going to force this poor man to give his last pennies to the greedy baker? Grimald's eyes gleamed with anticipation, even if it wasn't 5 silver coins. He wanted to see the traveler suffer for his theft. Silas took the pouch and held it close to Grimald's ear. He began to shake it. Clink, jingle, clink. The sound of the copper coins hitting each other was sharp and rhythmic in the quiet square. Silas shook it for a full minute, making sure the sound echoed against the stone walls. "There," Silas said, handing the pouch back to Elias. He then turned to Grimald. "Master Grimald," Silas said with a faint smile, "is the justice you seek satisfied?" Grimald looked confused. "What do you mean? You haven't given me the money." Silas stood up, his voice resonating with authority. "The judgment is this. The traveler enjoyed the smell of your bread. In return, you have just enjoyed the sound of his money. The price of a cent is a sound. The debt is paid. This case is dismissed." The crowd erupted into cheers and laughter. Grimald stood frozen, his mouth agape, as the traveler thanked Silas with a bow and went on his way. The baker realized then that his greed had made him the fool of the village. He had tried to charge for something as ethereal as the wind, and in return, he received a payment just as intangible. Karma has a way of balancing the scales. When we try to take more than we give, or when we try to own the things that should be free, the universe finds a way to remind us of the true value of things. True wealth isn't found in what we can hoard, but in the grace we show to others. Thank you for joining us at Karma's Harvest. May your day be filled with the sweet scent of kindness, and may your heart always be light.